Hello viewers, welcome to the channel Amazing Civil Engineering Studies. Time to enter the world of civil engineering. Here we will learn about different concepts related to civil engineering. Please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon for more new updates. In today's video we are going to discuss about things to remember before starting wall plastering. Plaster won't stick to just any surface and you don't want it to start falling away, so ensure your surface is ready to be plastered. Make sure it is clean. Remove bits of existing plaster, dust, or wallpaper. High suction porous backgrounds can suck the moisture from the plaster, meaning it dries too quick, so you may need to wet the wall before you start. When wetting your walls, use a fine mist spray gun to avoid having to keep reaching down to re-wet your brush. Once the water starts running down the wall, you know you've controlled the suction. Always use clean water, again to avoid contaminating your plaster and make it go off or set too quick. Always mix plaster by adding plaster to the water and not the other way around. Add just enough plaster first to make a heap on the top of the water and mix it so that it's lump-free. Then slowly add the plaster to get the correct consistency, either with a wooden stick or mixer drill. Plaster and water mix together roughly half and half, so half a clean bucket of water should make a full bucket of plaster. The plaster should be the consistency of melted ice cream. Try standing a stick in it if it can stand up. The plaster is mixed right. Plaster must be applied when your surface feels tacky, but not too wet, to help it bond to the surface well. When plastering a room, try not to do two walls that are touching each other, as you risk damaging one wall while plastering the other. Keep it cool in the room you are plastering. Radiators should be turned off or the plaster will dry out too quickly, making it difficult to apply and crack. Start with an area which only takes 30 minutes or less for the first coat. A good plaster finish can be achieved with a combination of confident firm pressure and the correct angle of your trowel. Don't try and get your surface perfect in the first coat. It takes too much time and the plaster may dry too soon. Imperfections can be ironed out in later stages. When you first apply your trowel to the ceiling or wall, start with one edge of the trowel angled away from it. As the plaster on your trowel gets less and less with your movement, the angle between your trowel and the surface gets smaller. If you're doing a ceiling, don't stand directly under your trowel, just in case you get plaster in your eye. Don't go into the edges between the ceiling and wall straight away with your plaster. It can be worked into the edges at a later date and avoid lumps of plaster clumping in the corners. But, when you do your corners, make sure they're flat. It makes the whole wall look good. Ensure the thickness of the plaster is even on the first and second coat. Use firm pressure to ensure it is flat with no bulges. You don't need to worry too much about smoothness or trowel marks at this stage, just that it's flat and even. Make sure the first thin coat is wet and pliable when you apply the second coat. Don't worry about filling every little hole at this stage. It's better to avoid your plaster firming up too quick. After the first 2 coats, the troweling up process begins. This is time to fill all those holes, remove your trowel marks and get it smooth. Make sure before you start the plaster is tacky pliable enough to push the plaster into the holes, but not so wet you make new holes. As the plaster sets, it will darken in color, which means it's time for the final trowel. Don't over-polish the plaster on the final dry trowel stage. It should be even and slightly polished, but feel like eggshell any smoother, it makes paint and wallpaper a nightmare to stick to. Ensure you have the right plastering tools, equipment, and know-how before you start, so you don't end up having to stop halfway through. Make sure you know you can comfortably get to hard-to-reach areas with stilts or scaffolding. Wear your metal trowel, and it's much easier to use this way. Some can be bought pre-worn. Always remember to keep your trowel flat on the wall. Don't forget to fill any holes in the plaster by applying firm pressure or getting more plaster in the hole and smoothing out. Then when the plaster is quite firm, any trowel marks and ridges will be successfully smoothed out, providing you have kept it flat, allowing your trowel to sit flat on the wall. Thanks for watching. For now, please subscribe, like, share and do not forget to press bell icon.